Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am showing you yet another eggless macaron recipe, but this time I'm making mint and chocolate macarons, and I have also completely simplified this process, taking into consideration your lovely comments and feedback from my last video. Now here I have some icing sugar and some oat flour. Now the oat flour is just your regular quick cook oats which I have ground into a fine powder, and then I've passed it through a sieve and stored in an airtight container. Now I've just measured it out, and along with the icing sugar I'm going to pass it through the sieve. Now I'm going to sift it twice. So this is the first time that I'm sifting, and while I'm doing that I'm going to also make sure that all the ingredients pass through the sieve. I'm going to press it with my fingers so they pass through the sieve. That's the first time that we have sifted. Now when we sift it again the second time, I won't be pressing the ingredients through the sieve. So all the ingredients that pass through the sieve, we take that, and any larger chunks that remain we will let it be. Now why I did this twice is because icing sugar on its own is quite lumpy, so if you try to break it apart, there is a possibility that some larger bits of the oat flour which may have not ground to a fine powder will also go through the sieve. So a good tip is to use a fine mesh sieve so that larger bits don't pass through it, and the second tip is to sift it twice. Now as you can see, when I'm sifting it the second time, it is passing through the sieve quite easily, and there are a few little chunky bits. These I will discard. Do not add them into the sifted ingredients. I'm just going to give it a quick mix and set it aside, and we're going to start working on the aquafaba. Now this time I am using canned chickpea liquid. So you can see here it contains only chickpeas, water and salt, and it is industrialized or made in a factory. So these are fairly standard, so you will all get the same results. I realized that the chickpea liquid that I showed you to make in the earlier video, a lot of you got it right, and I'm so happy about that, but there were also a few who actually struggled with it, and that's the reason I thought it's better to simplify this process. And believe me, I actually prefer this method now because it's so much easier and it really saves a lot of time. Now I'm going to pass this through a sieve. I'm going to store the chickpeas and use it for any recipe that you like, and that liquid that I have collected there, that is the aquafaba. The best part about this is that's it. Literally you only have to pass it through a sieve and collect that liquid, and that is the liquid that will help us in making an amazing meringue with the chickpea liquid. You can see that it is a bit runny, but that's totally fine. You don't have to cook it and reduce it or anything. You're just going to measure 33 grams, which is equivalent to 1 egg white. So I've measured 33 grams in a bowl. Now on speed 2, I am going to first whisk this for 3 minutes. On speed 2, you will see that it's already starting to froth up, and what I realized when I started experimenting with canned chickpea liquid is that it works very similarly to an actual egg white. So the actual whisking time is also same as an egg white. So for the first 3 minutes we whisk it on speed 2 or the low speed setting, and then I will crank up the speed to speed 4, and for the next 3 minutes I will keep whipping this on speed 4, and also I'll start adding caster sugar 1 spoonful at a time until all of the sugar has been used up. You will already notice by the end of these 6 minutes, that is 3 minutes on speed 2 and 3 minutes on speed 4, that the meringue is starting to shape up and soft peaks will start to appear by the end of that 6-minute mark. I'll just show it to you in a minute. There you go. The soft peaks have appeared. Now is the time to add our food coloring and flavoring. So I am going to make a nice soft minty color, and I'm also adding some peppermint extract. Now it's very important that you don't use peppermint oil, that's very different. You need to use peppermint extract just the way you get vanilla extract. So that's the one that we're going to add here, and then I am just going to start whisking this on the highest speed setting for 2 minutes. So 3, 3 and 2, that's a total of 8 minutes. And after 8 minutes you will see that amazing stiff peaks form, and it's so much quicker than homemade aquafaba actually. Now when I invert the bowl and then when I take it back up, you'll see that the stiff peaks stay the way they are. They do not move, and that's the perfect consistency. I cannot tell you how easy this is, and it saves so much time. Now it's time for me to dump all of the sifted ingredients. So I have here the oat flour and icing sugar that we sifted twice earlier. I'm going to just add all of it in one go, and now we will begin folding the aquafaba meringue that we made along with the sifted ingredients. We go from the sides of the bowl and then swipe in the center. Initially it looks like it's not going to come together, but keep at it and you will see that the mix starts to loosen up and starts looking slightly runny. You have to be careful once all of the ingredients are mixed well. You need to keep testing with your spatula to ensure that the macaron batter is flowing freely. If you mix too much, then it's going to be too runny. You can't actually salvage this. Then your macarons will happen, but they won't have a feet, which is iconic for macarons. Now I'm just going to show you that it forms the figure 8 really easily. Like, there you go. It flows freely and easily and forms the figure 8, and within 10 seconds it also mixes with the rest of the batter. So now I'm going to take a little bit of that batter and put it onto my baking tray before putting the parchment sheet on top of it. So this ensures that the parchment paper does not keep moving. It stays in place while you're piping the macarons. And also, like I mentioned in the earlier video, hold your piping bag perpendicular to the tray at a 90-degree angle. This ensures that your macarons don't bake lopsided. So I get about 20 macaron shells out of this recipe, and that makes 10 macaron cookies. Now once we have piped all the macarons, I'm going to wrap the tray really hard against the countertop. You can already see that some air bubbles are rising to the surface and bursting on their own. But there are a few other bubbles that stay, and they stay on the surface. So we're going to use a toothpick and just pop these bubbles off. What I like to do next is leave this tray in an air-conditioned room and then begin preheating the oven. So usually you don't need to rest these macarons for a very long time, like half an hour or 40 minutes or anything. While your oven is preheating at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit, you will let this sit in the air-conditioned room, and those 15 to 20 minutes is plenty of time for the shells to dry out. Just make sure that the room is not humid and it's dry. You will now bake these macarons at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit first for 8 minutes. Then you will turn off the oven and leave the oven door open for another 8 minutes, so the heat gently comes down, and with it the macarons also continue to cook. Now while that's happening, we're going to make our chocolate ganache. Super easy, couldn't be simpler. I have some warm cream. It shouldn't be boiling hot, just warm cream, and I've poured it over some room temperature dark chocolate which I have chopped. Let it sit just the way it is for a minute, and after a minute I'll start whisking it, and you will see that the chocolate already starts to melt. That's the reason it's very important for the chocolate to be finely chopped and to be at room temperature, so the warm cream sort of melts the chocolate really well. And if at the end of this whisking process, if you find that a little chocolate chunks have still not melted, then you can just pop it in the microwave for 10 seconds and then keep stirring it to ensure that it has melted. And if it still hasn't, just at 10-second intervals keep melting it, but do not go overboard. Now my macarons are out of the oven, they have cooled off. Always make sure that you wait for the shells to cool down for 15 to 20 minutes before peeling them off the parchment paper. I am going to fill the macarons with that beautiful chocolate ganache and top it with the other shell. And here you go, my eggless mint chocolate macarons are ready. They are super easy and straightforward, and I really hope that you give these a go. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you again next time. Until then, goodbye and happy baking.